History happens here. From the Booth Family Hall of Athletics to the hallowed hardwood of Allen Fieldhouse, tradition, memories, and moments pile high in Lawrence, Kansas. History happens today for South Florida or Kansas. Today will mark the date of the first ever postseason championship in program history.
Today, the Bulls of South Florida visit Lawrence, Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse for the championship game of the WNIT. Their opponent and host, the Jayhawks from the University of Kansas. Through the course of this WNIT, 48 teams began and now 2 remain. And here's a look at how Kansas got to the championship game. A win over Creighton, moved on to Arkansas, and then a big win over Illinois State. A nail-biter down the stretch that put Kansas into today's championship game. On the flip side, for the Bulls of South Florida, a double overtime win over Florida Gulf Coast. And then things have gotten a little bit wider in margin. Mississippi, St. Bonaventure, and Boston College, all double-digit victories for the Bulls, and here they are in Kansas for the WNIT championship game. The Big East, the Big 12, 2 power conferences playing good basketball at championship time.
It really is no surprise because these are probably two of the 2 deepest conferences in all of women's basketball. For Kansas, they are consistent, having won 9 of 11. For USF, they are balanced, 4 players, double-figure scoring.
4 players, double figures, but the spearhead of that offense, Shantia Grace, so far this year for South Florida.
She is a first-team All-Big East player. She is back at the point guard position, but leads the team in shots, also leads the team in scoring. Great at setting up her teammates because she's #1 on the team in assists. She pushes this high-powered offense for Kansas, so they are led by first-team All-Big 12 performer in Danielle McCray. She leads the Big 12 in 3-point field goal shooting. She has great range from the outside, averaging 30 points a game in this WNIT. The key is who will step up to complement Danielle McCray.
2 teams still playing basketball in April. It's championship time at the Women's NIT.
At GMC, we're reinventing the ownership experience with a total confidence plan. Payment protection up to 9 months, up to $500 a month if you lose your job. Vehicle value protection, our fully backed 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and 1 year of OnStar. Go to gmcconfidence.com for details. And now get 0% financing for 60 months or $4,000 total cash back on the GMC Sierra. See your local GMC dealer today.
Get caught up on all the tournament action with the official highlight show of the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament.
My goodness! It will be 2 and not 3 Big East teams heading to the Final Four. In the clutch, the freshman.
Watch NCAA March Madness highlights tonight, immediately following tournament games. Powered by Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA.
These Jayhawk fans are just flat out excited to be able to watch basketball in April. Welcome back to Allen Fieldhouse for the Women's NIT Championship game. A potential record crowd on hand today. We'll tell you more about that later. Invading Allen Fieldhouse today, the Bulls of USF. Their head coach, Jose Fernandez, 9 seasons, 6 consecutive postseason appearances for the head coach at USF. Here are the starting lineups today for the Bulls. Sepulveda is in at a guard along with Grace and Wynn. Denson Lawson, a talented starting 5 for the Bulls. Meanwhile, for Kansas, it's Chodic at a guard position with Morris, McCray, Smith, and Bogart. A lot of good basketball players on the floor today. Kansas will be headed up in her 5th season by Bonnie Henriksen. 79 and 78 record here at KU in her tenure. This WNIT has flipped her back over to a winning record, and she is building a fine program, Tracy, here at Kansas.
Transformation for Kansas has been amazing in this year. They have gone from really a struggling program to a successful, consistent program.
Our thanks to our officials working today's game. All of them have Final Four experience. We'll have a good ball game today, and we've got some good officials to keep things in order on the court. Here's the tip. We're underway in the WNIT Championship game, Kansas basketball.
look for the Jayhawks to keep this in a half-court game. They want to try to exploit the size in the post. They go right into Bogart, and quick foul against USF.
Foul on South Florida.
Bogart inside.
Lawson.
She is 6 feet 5 inches tall. Big height on the court for Bogart, and they work inside right away to her. Shantia Morris inbounds it for the Jayhawks in those white uniforms. In the green, the Bulls of USF. Floater is good, and the first points of the championship game. Well, no surprise, it's Danielle McCray.
He's looking to take the control right away. We'll see a couple quick hitters from her, but on the offensive end for USF, they'll do a lot of on-ball screens. You'll see a lot of weaving to get these 5'6" 5'7" guards free, and there another quick foul.
Offensive side this time.
Offensive foul, South Florida's number 22.
And the foul will turn it over to Kansas. That basket by Danielle McCray. She is on the brink of a couple of scoring marks, historical scoring marks. We'll talk about those today. She was held scoreless for the first 12 minutes of the semifinals, and she gets one right out of the gates in the first 30 seconds of this finals game, averaging over 30 points per game in the WNIT. Danielle McCray, out of bounds goes the Karam. And the Jayhawks will keep it on the baseline.
Brad, what was important, Kansas really broke USF's press. We're going to watch USF press and push on both ends of the floor. For Kansas, they've been there, done that in the Big 12, handled it flawlessly. Now they've got to convert.
Step through, and a shot and a score by Shantia Morris, the junior out of Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, they say Morris is like the Pippin to McCray, who is Michael Jordan. She really is the perfect complement, the runner, the penetrator. And Kansas coming out of the gate early like they did against Illinois State to control tempo.
The Bulls of South Florida, most wins in program history this year. They're 26-10. They need a basket. Drive, but denial on the play. Inside on defense, Nicolette Smith against Brittany Denson. McCray, too strong, and there's the board. Lost away. McCray slapped it out of the hands of Jessica Lawson. Another miss by McCray, and away come the Bulls. South Florida has not scored yet, but they can do so in spurts. They are a quick, athletic team. Inside, Lawson, and they're on the board.
See what makes Grace so good? When she doesn't have a shot, she finds the open player, and that time it was her teammate Lawson. It's been working well. She uses the height of Lawson at 6'3", creates some room on the low blocks.
Shantia Grace, all-time assist leader at South Florida, and also in the top 10 scorers all time. Shot missed by McCray. Well, she's going to the well often, but she's only hit one of those baskets so far. Bulls with a chance to tie. Sepulveda against McCray. Nice pass by Sepulveda. And the defense inside, blocked in there by Kristen Bogart.
Great help defense by Kansas in the interior. They're just collapsing on USF because USF's getting the first step past the defender, and then they need help defense on Kansas.
Handling outside, Ivana Chadic, native of Serbia, played at Mount De Chantal Academy in West Virginia. Chadic gets a seam to the corner to McCray.
And she had the great screen. McCray just didn't pull it.
Shot clock beater by McCray is no good, and the Bulls starting to settle things down on the rebounds. They've gotten under control. They've got another shot here to get the score even.
As per course, lots of shots from McCray in the early going. Kansas needs to develop a complement to her. We saw that last time down the floor. She was almost too slow in pulling the trigger and then settled for the 4-second rush shot clock shot.
McCray 1 of 5 from the floor now. 5 seconds to shoot for the Bulls. 3 on the way. Sepulveda got it, and there's the first lead of the game for the Bulls of South Florida. Campus in Tampa. I know today they've got a watch party at Beef O'Grady's down in the campus area. Fans rooting on their Bulls. Football team canceled scrimmage today. And coach said, let's watch our women's basketball team win a championship. Bogart inside, no good. Defense applied by Brittany Denson.
Bogart trying to finish inside. You can see that USF very quick to get a body on her as they had to McCray. They're also getting a body on Bogart. But remember, this is tough physical play. Both of these teams used to it in their respective conferences. Of course, Big 12 known for some bodying. Of course, from the likes of Oklahoma and company.
That's Shantia Morris with her second basket of the game. Shot clock again down to 6 seconds. There's a look at the early shooting. Kansas not hot so far, but they do have that 6-5 lead. Kick out pass. 3 is good. That's knocked down for the Bulls by Jazmine Sepulveda.
Grace is so quick. She's got that first step, so she really puts her defender in behind her. Somebody else has to pick up.
Morris tried it, no good. And there's an over-the-back foul against Kansas. And that'll be the first team foul on the Jayhawks. It's going to be USF basketball. With the score, Bulls 8, Jayhawks 6 in the WNIT championship game on CBS College Sports. We are out of the gates in the championship game of the women's NIT. The Bulls of South Florida 8, Kansas 6. Jazmine Sepulveda 2 of 2 from three-point land.
Thanks to Shantia Grace, who quickly puts 2 defenders in a rearview mirror and finds Sepulveda, who's just camping out at three-point land. This is a team who was 4th in the Big East from three-point land. They will knock them down from long range. They will penetrate. But this tempo in the early going, Thad, suits USF. They want the score to be in the 80s, and they'll put up a lot of shots.
No good for Wynn. Rebounded by Nicolette Smith. Here come the Jayhawks, who have won 9 of their previous 11 games. McCray's shot bounces off, no good. She is a little cold to start things off today, but an offensive rebound for Kansas.
And you know that all of USF is looking toward McCray. So Jose Fernandez says, we're going to put 2 and 3 bodies on her, even with the screens that are set. The important thing is to limit the turnovers for Kansas, because that's part of what's been their Achilles heel. Turnovers leads to points off turnovers for other teams. And in the Big 12, when they hit their funk, they were causing a lot of turnovers. That's really Chadich's job to protect the basketball.
Janae Stokes checks in along with Portia Grant for the Bulls. Janae Stokes, she'll get some things done on the court. Coming off the bench, don't be fooled. Here's a shot from McCray, that's too strong. Another shot at the offensive rebound, but it trickles away into the hands of Brittany Denson. Here come the Bulls. Grace to the basket. Had the defense of Morris, but on the other side, right into the game, offensive board and a basket for Portia Grant, and she is an offensive rebounding beast. She leads the team in rebounding, 7.6 boards in just 20 minutes per game. 42% of her boards are on the offensive end. To the basket goes McCray, and that's out of bounds, blocked out of bounds by the Bulls, and the Jayhawks will keep it.
See how quick USF is with transition defense. If you're going to try and beat them with your athleticism, which Kansas has plenty of, you've got to get a lot of compliments for Bonnie Hendrickson's team to get down there. Somebody else has to help out McCray pull the trigger, and we need Morris to start stepping up.
Crowd squawked on that near 5-second call on the inbound. This is a knowledgeable crowd. This might be a record crowd today, Tracy. A fantastic turnout for the Jayhawks at Allen Fieldhouse. Inside, Smith, and she pump faked, but she traveled, no basket. The big defense by Brittany Denson came over and forced that turnover.
McCray was the decoy. She swung wide. The whole defense for USF collapsed on her, created a great gap in the middle. They found Smith, surprised to get it. One too many steps.
Bonnie Hendrickson will go to the bench and check in a freshman, Aisha Sutherland.
You see McCray swing wide on the left, and that creates a decoy for the defense. And then Smith with the ball, receipt, footwork, still working on it, travel.
Denson was concerned that she might be receiving a foul call, but instead she forced the travel with the defensive play for the Bulls. Stokes to the right side into the hands of Denson. Spin move and a score.
Boy, did you see how she just worked on Bogart? Backed in, went left and right, and quickly with the spin move to convert.
They worked a lot yesterday in practice with the Jayhawks against pressure, and they just had some there, got through it. This will go out of bounds. It's going to go to the Bulls.
USF, Jose Fernandez says, we need 10 to 12 points from our posts. We need them to go in strong, and Bogart just did not have the athleticism to go against basically the post. You're going to get a lot from Denson. You're going to get a lot from Portia Grant.
Jessica Lawson has checked back in. Brittany Denson has checked out for the moment. High-octane style by the Bulls. They'll need some reinforcements. Stokes looks to go inside, and the ball's kicked away on the attempted pass to Lawson. That's McCray kicking it out of bounds. It's still basketball in the hands of USF. Shot clock at 15 seconds.
Kansas has the height at the guard spot. They're 5'11", 5'11", going against 5'6", 5'7", and 5'9". They're trying to prevent the interior pass, so they're not letting the guards get a good look inside.
LaChelda Jacobs just checked in, a junior for the Jayhawks. She's on defense on the ball. And now Sepulveda takes it. 7-0 run for USF in the last 3 minutes. They were down by 1, and now they're up by 6. That rebound is lost out of the hands of Bogart. Grace gets tangled up with Jacobs, and we'll reset it up top with 20 seconds to go on the shot clock. Thad Anderson, Tracy Warren from Allen Fieldhouse. This is the WNIT championship game. And the Bulls of South Florida, the visitors, leading on Kansas with another bucket, now up by 8 as the grab and put in by Jessica Lawson is completed. The senior from Orlando started her college career at Cal and moved back to the homeland. Now a takeaway on the pressure. Stokes scores. Trouble for the Jayhawks and a timeout for Kansas. 30-second timeout is called by Bonnie Hendrickson, and that was much needed. It's now a 10-point advantage for the Bulls.
You're seeing the quicks of USF on both ends of the floor. It was offense and then defense. They are second in the Big East and steals because they use their guards to attack, attack, attack. They get the attack, and they've got all comers running with them. Take a look at the steal right here, and of course, it is one of their guards, Shantia Grace, leading it with the nice dish. But points off turnovers, steals, they make a living at it, do the Bulls. Here's a team that, in USF, that thought they had a legitimate right to be in the NCAA tournament. They had a great record going into it. They had 21 wins. They thought, wow, why stop at 7 deep in the Big East? Why not take an 8 team in them? And so because of that, the senior-laden team, they've got 7 seniors, 4 juniors, kind of playing with a little chip on their shoulder, saying, we're going to show you, kind of like the men did for Penn State in the men's NIT.
13 of the 16 Big East teams made postseason play. Power conference, shot missed by Kansas. They have not scored in over 4 minutes, and they're looking down the barrel of a 0-11 run on the wrong side of that. Another takeaway, Sepulveda thought about to pull up, and she travels. Kansas gets it back, and they need a bucket. Checking in for USF, Jasmine Wynn will get back on the court and replace Shantia Grace. Shantia, a 2008-2009 All Big East first team member. And when you make the first team in the Big East, you're not messing around.
No, that says something, and especially with the depth. 2 of the 4 teams in the Final Four are from the Big East, Louisville and Connecticut. One of the teams in the WNIT championship is from the Big East. This is a very, very deep women's basketball-rich conference.
Kansas will see a timeout at the next stoppage of play, and they need a bucket before going to that timeout to build some positive momentum. 16-6 our score in the WNIT championship game at Allen Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kansas. It will be Kansas basketball, just 2 seconds to shoot when we come back. The Bulls from the Big East 16, the Big 12 Jayhawks have 6. Back with more from Allen Fieldhouse on CBS College Sports. An 11-0 USF run, and the Bulls have a 10-point lead in the WNIT championship game. The WNIT relies on Vista Travel for all of their airline needs. When you need a professional, call Vista Travel, celebrating 38 years of providing customers with the best travel services available. Travel with Vista.com. I traveled in from Colorado. You traveled in from San Diego. I'm Thad Anderson. She's Tracy Warren. He's a Jayhawks fan, as there are many of those joining us today. 3rd year we've been able to work this championship game together. Always a fantastic environment when we hit this final round.
Some 12,000 fans here, but what USF has done in the early going is take these fans out of the game by their play. They're a team which is averaging 81 points per game in the WNIT, and they have pushed tempo, they have played frenetic defense, and they've been able to really neutralize McCray, who's 1 for 9 so far.
Quick shot by Kristen Bogart. The shot clock was at 2 coming out of the timeout, and a nice play set by the Kansas offense on the inbound. Bogart scores. There's a slash and a basket for Jasmine Wynn.
Jasmine Wynn took on 3 defenders on that penetration, and it shows you the foot speed, how she's been able to get by them. If you can't get in front of her, you can't defend her.
A freshman out of Jacksonville, Jasmine Wynn, starting this championship game, getting about 19 minutes per game this year. She's going to have an impact. Bogart going to work down low, 2 baskets in a row. After her team sat on 6 points for about 5 minutes, Bogart bang bang trying to pull her team back in.
You say, hey, I've got a 6'5" forward center. Let's use her.
Working it inside the Bulls. Another reverse. That one's no good. Crowd wants a foul, and that's something. That's on the end line.
Again, working the offensive glass, Portia Grant.
Look at the crossover. 1, 2, 3 defenders going on by. Great foot speed by Jazmine Sepulveda, the freshman out of Jacksonville, Florida.
She has 3 brothers and 5 sisters. That was just like getting to the dinner table.
McCray for 3, and she's now 2 of 10 on the day, but what have you done for me lately? And she just tied the 4th all-time single-season scoring mark at Kansas for women's basketball. All top 4 spots were held previously by Lynette Woodard, and Danielle McCray just cracked into that top 4 up there in the rare air of Lynette Woodard. Lawson works inside, and she will draw the foul. No basket. Here comes Kansas.
And Danielle McCray leads the Big 12 in three-point field goal shooting percentage, and she's feeling it from outside. She's been unsuccessful on the interior because of the athleticism. She's had 2 and 3 defenders in her face. Why not push it outside, create some room, knock it down.
With one more point, Danielle McCray will tie the WNIT record for points scored by an individual in the tournament. 129 is the mark by Jolene Anderson of Wisconsin in 2007. And one more would match that. Kansas 10 seconds to shoot. Working their way back, down by 5 after a big deficit moments ago. They got down by double digits. 3 seconds to shoot. 1. Bogart had it, lost it. Good hustle by Sade Morris, and she'll draw foul. Morris playing a great game in the early going for the Jayhawks.
Morris is doing a lot of that blue-collar work, getting to loose balls, keeping possession for Bonnie Hendrickson's Kansas Jayhawks, and taking ownership and valuing each possession for Kansas.
Those hustle points big, and she had 2 of the early buckets for Kansas, at least keeping them on the board. And a lot of good hustle plays on the court. Nice dish to Sutherland, couldn't finish. Sutherland stays with it. Bogart stays with it. Sutherland again. Morris. Timeout called by the Jayhawks. What was that, 4 offensive rebounds? They won it. But the Bulls still have the 5-point lead. 30-second timeout taken by the Jayhawks. And this crowd is now responding to the effort.
Therein is part of the issue for Kansas. They've got to be able to finish this. They've got the height advantage, and they've got the looks. There's 1 and 2. There's 3. Here comes Bogart with 4 and 5. So Kansas has 5 good looks, but they're still not able to knock it down, and that has been the story in the early going. USF is contesting their shots. They're getting bodies. Even though there's a height mismatch, they're getting in there and boxing out and trying to put a body to get those rebounds.
Kansas has 11 offensive rebounds and 3 defensive rebounds. The Jayhawks shooting 6 of 23 from the floor. That's 26%. Of course, when you go 0 for 5 on one trip down the floor, that's going to skew that number. Great effort on the glass. And give the Bulls credit, they stayed defensively tough, didn't allow an easy shot on those putbacks. Now let's go outside for a 3 with Morris. Another offensive board and a new scoring record in the WNIT, Danielle McCray. Shantia Grace from downtown, the answer for 3.
We talk about USF really not being shaken. This is their back-to-back road games. They've been at St. Bonaventure, and of course then they go to Boston College and win, and then they come to Kansas. They've been on the road for a week. They've got a senior-laden team, and they don't get phased.
Danielle McCray has seen enough. There's a 3 from McCray, and she's taken off. The Olathe, Kansas native, played at Olathe East, just down the road from Lawrence. Showing it in front of the home crowd. Jacobs with the takeaway. Lachelda takes it down court. Chance to tie or get within 1 for Kansas. Bogart left block. Stays with it again. Bogart kicks it out.
Good decision-making by Kansas. 2 times. Jacobs pulled it out. She didn't force it, and now she's going to reset the offense to stay in the quarter court.
Jacobs to the glass. It's good, and Kansas is back within 1.
McCray is such a decoy that when you have 2 and 3 bodies sagging on McCray, there's room for others like Jacobs and Bogart to make an offensive impact.
There goes Wynn, and we got a foul call. Looks like that might be McCray on the foul. And they will call Danielle McCray. A 12-3 run for the Jayhawks, including some downtown work. Allen Fieldhouse is filled up with Kansas fans rooting their Jayhawks on in the WNIT championship, but the Bulls of USF have the lead. There's a look at Danielle McCray leading the way to this point in the championship game. A new record in the tournament, 133 total points scored by McCray in 5 WNIT games. She now has 10 points on 4 of 13 shooting, 2 of 3 from three-point land. We mentioned that for South Florida, they have an all-Big East first-teamer, Shantia Grace. Well, you're looking right there at an all-first-team, all-Big 12 performer, and also an honorable mention All-American.
She's got all the skills. She can rebound, she can post up. We're seeing some of her long-range distance ability. What she needed to do was get some shots on the perimeter because she was being double and triple teamed on the inside and not finding any room to get off her shot. So now they're using her better, more efficiently on the outside, getting some teammates involved on the offensive end, and that'll create other opportunities as we go along.
First free throws of the game for either team, and the first one is good for Jasmine Lynn. That puts the Bulls back up by 2. A good look at Jasmine, the freshman out of Jacksonville. And she got them both. More pressure from the Bulls, making it difficult. Now a little phantom pressure. They'll back it off, and up the court comes Jacobs with the basketball.
And really important for Jacobs to take care of the basketball. She and Chotich are in the game at the same time. Jacobs a little turnover prone. She's guarded by Grace. So we're going to see how that matchup evolves throughout the course of this half.
Drive to the basket, and flying into the cheerleaders and crowd goes Sade Morris. And we've got a foul call going against the Bulls of USF. Lachelda Jacobs, you were just talking about, Tracy, handling the basketball. Started the first 10 games this season at point guard for the Jayhawks, so she is battle-tested, but backed off that starting role. Still belonging a lot of minutes handling the basketball. Nice to have a couple of different players to control the ball, especially against a team like USF. First free throw trip for the Jayhawks. A friendly home rim for Sade Morris.
That's an important point you make, Thad, because this is the first trip for Kansas, and Bonnie Hendrickson said for us to win, we've got to get to the charity stripe. They did it in the win against Illinois State, a game which had 9 different lead changes, but the difference at the end was opportunities at the charity stripe. So Kansas needs to do more penetration, just like USF has been successful.
Jessica Lawson with 2 personal fouls for the Bulls, the only player in any sort of issue for the foul count. Kansas takes away the rebound, and the Jayhawks into the half court. Bogart open briefly. Instead, inside to Sutherland. That shot looked like that was deflected possibly. And I believe it was. Kansas will have the basketball on the baseline.
USF is so quick. Look at the double team right there for USF. There's always double and triple teams because they use their quick-footedness for help defense. Because look at the switch. There's one right there on Morris. Here comes a second defender in front of Morris.
There's a bounce and a score for Sade Morris for the Jayhawks. And Kansas climbs on top, 24-23, nearing the 6-minute mark of the first half. By the way, Danielle McCray, before that last time out, her second foul. She's on the bench as McCray. So the Jayhawks operating without their clear statistical leader throughout the year. Out of bounds. Kansas basketball as Grace lost it.
Grace at 5'6" gets her own miss, and you're wondering who missed the box out. Again, these little nuances that Bonnie Hendrickson is so big on. Hey, details, details. She said we have 2.5 days to prepare for these guys. We've got to be attentive to details.
An easy press break that time. Yesterday at practice, they worked repeatedly and talked repeatedly about fundamental passing against this defense. Not falling away passing, not kind of one-hand push passing, but square up, set your feet, 2-hand snap passing. It's important all day long against this talented defensive Bulls team. Jacobs, shot clock down to 3. Had a tough look, and the Bulls took it away. South Florida down by 1. Wynn to the basket again, and she's fouled. Well, I tell you, she has been impressive. Jazmine Wynn a couple times to the basket, hit a couple free throws earlier. Fun to watch. They're strong up and down. Young, more experienced, good all the way.
They say Jazmine Wynn may be one of the best freshmen ever to come to USF because she's got all the tools. And if you watched that penetration to the basket, she protected the basketball, drew contact, and now has opportunities at the line.
First free throw is good.
Wynn had been used as a defensive stopper, but like any freshman gaining more confidence, she's getting more and more contributions on the offensive end for the Bulls.
Second free throw bounces out, so that puts the game even at 24. It's the WNIT championship game today in Lawrence, Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse on Naismith Court. Chadic, no good on the 3. Good defensive board for Brittany Denson.
With McCray out of the game twice down the floor, Kansas looked lost in their offense. They didn't have the go-to or almost a set plan.
Sepulveda driving on Jacobs.
Nice.
Dishes. And a traveling violation as Portia Grant couldn't get the handle on the ball. And a substitution for USF. Janae Stokes will check back in. There's a look at Jose Fernandez. USF coach talking about that talented freshman Jazmine Wynn. There's a good recruiter right there. He's done a great job at South Florida. And
he brings a lot of tricks to the game. He said the first 8 or 9 plays I'm going to run are new wrinkles that I've added just for the WNIT championship. Gets a lot of plays from the NBA, talks to the Miami Heat coaching staff, and Jose Fernandez is a real student of the game. You know, he was brought up coaching a lot of the men's teams, both in high school and junior college. And then at the college level, he moved over to the women's game. But, of course, he has been at USF for a while as an assistant and now as a head coach. But you'll see he likes a lot of on-ball screens, a lot of quick hitters that you'll see in the NBA.
Portia Grant with the foul for USF. There's another drive by LaChelda Jacobs, junior out of Mansfield, Texas, puts her team back on top by 2. And the crowd back into it as we hit 4.5 minutes to go. First half of the WNIT championship game. Neither team has won a postseason championship in program history. There's a shot dropped by Janae Stokes, and that's what she's all about. She can flat out score.
5'7" going against a 5'11" Sade Morris. Morris just fell, and Stokes had that wide open jumper.
She has made the most three-point baskets in Division I college basketball this year, has Janae Stokes, and also has the 6th most in NCAA history this season. Morris again, 4-2.
And Morris looks at the official, as does Stokes, and Stokes says, hey, wasn't that a foul or push-off? No whistle there, and they're letting them play. Really important how the officials call this if they let the incidental bumping, and they are.
Grace finds a little room and hits the shot. That is Shantia Grace, the leading scorer for USF, at around 15 points a game. And she equalizes the count once again. Traveling violation, and that'll take us to a timeout. USF will get the basketball back, and we've got a good one here at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Bulls 28, Jayhawks 28 on CBS College Sports. A championship is on the line, and both teams with a couple of runs in the first half have kept it even, but the margins have shifted significantly in our early going. USF and Kansas tied in the WNIT championship game. Baseball, fast pitch, college placement showcases, and yes, college basketball. Plus more. No agendas, no home cooking, just professionally organized tournaments and great destination championships. Get in the game at TripleCrownSports.com. That's TripleCrownSports.com. Athletic Director Lou Perkins looking on. Plan to talk to him at halftime, get some words from the AD at Kansas. And he's got to love the fact that he's got his women's basketball program still playing a few weeks after maybe you expect to shut down the season. And nonetheless, a huge crowd on hand to top it all off. Sepulveda is fouled on a shot attempt, and it looks like that'll be Sade Morris' second personal foul.
Morris has drawn some tough assignments. She had Sepulveda, she's had Stokes, she's seen some time on Grace, and you can see her just trying to keep in front of these very quick guards, and that almost looked like all ball, but it would give Sepulveda some time at the line.
No good on the first try. Sepulveda, 65% free throw shooter.
USF is not a great free throw shooting team. They are 13th in the Big East, so it's to Kansas's advantage if they could stop play, stop the clock, stop the tempo, and get USF on the line.
Second free throw good for Sepulveda. Now looks like 16 fouls for the Bulls, and Kansas 4 team fouls committed. 1-point lead for South Florida. 3 minutes to go in the first half of the WNIT championship game.
With McCray back in the game, Sepulveda is guarding McCray very closely, denying her the ball. They're trying to set a back screen for her. Nice look.
Snap to Sutherland. One pass too many, perhaps, off the hands of Bogart. Chadic, who wisely stayed away from that. It had been deflected by a Bulls player.
Bogart, just a sophomore, not anticipating the quick movement. She's got to be ready because this pace is so quick.
2 seconds to shoot. McCray gets it off. And the rebound taken down by Portia Grant, the leading rebounder for South Florida, has another pull-up three. Sepulveda nails it from the left wing.
She's out of Brooklyn, New York, and this 5'9" senior, a lot of her teammates feed off of that fearlessness, and you saw there were no rebounders underneath for USF. She still pulled the trigger and knocked it down. This team will nickel and dime you in transition from the three.
Inside, Aisha Sutherland, a freshman out of Riverside, California, puts it in the basket. Sutherland can jump, can grab the rim. She's got height. She's tough inside. Sepulveda was 3 of 3 on threes. Missed that try. 10 points in the game for Sepulveda. There's a backcourt violation, and Kansas gets the ball back.
USF, a team 4th in the Big East from three-point land. And look at Sepulveda. There are no rebounders. She's just going to pull up, got great confidence. On the other end, KU with a good look inside, and that's how it's done when you've got the height advantage, but you've got to find and take advantage of those looks inside.
That replay you just saw, Sutherland's first basket for Kansas. Aisha Sutherland with her first bucket on 6 shot attempts. Taken away by Portia Grant, 6'2" junior out of Oxon Hills, Maryland. Grant is tough. Talked about her rebounding. She's just long and athletic. Causes trouble in there. There's the offensive board and the putback as we speak of Portia Grant.
When we see these swings in momentum, it's because USF is forcing the tempo on both ends. Kansas having a tough time transitioning on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, USF so quick on the help defense.
6 rebounds now for Portia Grant. Also 6 boards for Kristen Bogart, who just missed that shot. Ball deflected out of bounds, and it will be USF basketball. 70 seconds left in the first half of play, and Jose Fernandez will call a 30-second timeout. USF on an 8-2 run to get that lead to 34-30. And they'll stop and talk.
And this time, Thad, it's been Sepulveda who's kind of been the leader. Again, another one of those 7 seniors for Jose Fernandez, who on the offensive end is really fearless from three-point land. And then on the defensive end, she has drawn Danielle McCray. So she's getting a lot of help on the defensive end to fend off McCray. But there are these periods where USF has neutralized McCray and then used the play of different guards to help with that scoring. Again, 5 players from USF have averaged double-figure scoring in the WNIT. They complement each other so well.
We thought coming in it would be a fun game to watch, and we were right. Or we just guessed well. But either way, we're happy it's turned out as it has to this point. Hope you're enjoying the WNIT championship game on CBS College Sports. I'm Thad Anderson with Tracy Warren in Lawrence, Kansas. The Jayhawks hosting the championship contest. Denson shoots and will shoot free throws. Under a minute to go now in the first half.
Number 14, Kristen Bogart. That's her first foul, team fifth.
First foul for Kristen Bogart. 5 team fouls now for Kansas. 2 shots at the line. Brittany Denson, a 63% free throw shooter. Hit the first.
And a substitution for the Bulls. Checking back in is the freshman who's had a good first half, Jasmine Wynn. Second free throw good for Denson. Hit them both. Sutherland will inbound. Pressure from Wynn against the ball handling of LaChelda Jacobs. Off to Chodic. McCray works the right side. Bogart set the screen.
There's a screen from McCray. Again, the double team now out on McCray. Sepulveda still on McCray with the shot clock at 10.
Deflection on that shot with the shot clock winding down, and the Bulls have it. Shot clock is off, but Sepulveda wants to shoot. Taken out by Wynn. And another rebound and basket by Portia Grant as she piles them up. 7 boards now in the first half for Portia Grant. Her game average about 7.5 through the season. 10 seconds to go first half. Chodic has the ball. 8-point lead for the Bulls. Jayhawks want a basket before half. Bogart looks to McCray. And out of bounds it goes with 0.2 seconds. Sepulveda dove into her coaching staff trying to save it.
Everybody wanting Bogart to pull that trigger. She had it at least 3 feet clear, and she deferred to McCray. And again, have to see more aggression on the offensive end from someone other than McCray for Kansas.
0.2 seconds to go in the first half. This is a tip-in only. Bogart setting up to try to get a lob pass. Chodic will trigger it. Up goes Sutherland. No good. No basket. She caught it. And there's not enough time in 0.2 seconds to catch and shoot.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. It wasn't a tip, and it was a catch and shoot. And the rule is 0.3 seconds. That gives you time to tip and shoot. It was 0.2 seconds. Bob Trammell says it was a catch and shoot. They're going to nullify it.
So halftime has arrived, and the Bulls of USF lead the WNIT championship game 38-30 over the Jayhawks of the University of Kansas. Halftime coming up from Allen Fieldhouse at the WNIT championship game. In 20 minutes of game time, one of these programs will have their first ever postseason championship title. And through the first half of this game, the Bulls of South Florida have the 8-point advantage. In the first half of play, Tracy, plenty of fun things to look at here at Allen Fieldhouse.
USF coming out shooting 50% in the first half, thanks to the likes of their 5'9" senior guard, Jazmine Sepulveda. She was just on fire and set the tone for the Bulls. Then with the good looks inside, they find Lawson using some of her height and her quicks. But then it is Kansas. McCray with the runner. McCray from outside. They need some compliments to McCray, who's doing a lot of dirty work. 10 points in that first half for McCray. But Kansas needs to find someone else, and that has been Morris. She also has 10 points, penetrating and pull up and knocking it down. But Kansas trailing 38-8, as you mentioned, in the first half.
So the 38-30 score on the board, and statistically speaking, there you see a look at what's going on. The Bulls far exceeding Kansas in field goal shooting. Now, offensive rebounds have helped Kansas keep it closer than it might be with that shooting disparity. 14 offensive boards for the Jayhawks in the first half. Second chance points, 12-10. That should be a lot higher. They missed a lot of short shots after some offensive glass.
And so should the three-point field goals, because that is where Kansas has lived. They were first in the Big 12 in three-point field goal shooting. Because the USF has neutralized McCray, those numbers are down. Somebody has to start to keep up, deny entry passes for USF, or they will continue to force the tempo. When you see up-tempo games like this in the first half, it really becomes a test of stamina and legs in the second half. And when USF has played this way all season long, really, you've got to look at USF to bring it on strong in the end.
Well, this crowd is not going anywhere. They are still in it and loud, and USF is going to bring it in the second half. The crowd's going to have to stay with it. In their semifinal win for USF, they outscored Boston College 54-33 in the second half of play. They finished strong. It's going to take some work by the Jayhawks to stay in the championship contest.
It was also in that game where USF held BC scoreless for about 6 minutes in that second half. Again, with the great athleticism, the switching on the man-to-man defense. This is new for Kansas in the WNIT, trailing at the half in the WNIT tournament. So what does Bonnie Hendrickson have to do? She's got to tell Bogart, expect the basketball, we're going to use your height, we're going to get it into you more, and make those 5-footers. Somebody else, let's help McCray on the offensive end. Maybe send another screen or two, some staggered screens for McCray, get her open, some more looks and opportunities.
Moments ago, you saw that information on your screen. Jasmine Sepulveda, the leading scorer for South Florida, with 10 points in the first half, including 3 of 5 on 3-point tries. And there you see Danielle McCray, the first team All-Big 12 performer, and honorable mention All-American. 10 points for McCray. Also 10 points for that player right there, Shantia Morris, on 4 of 7 shooting in the first half. We're ready for second half action in the WNIT championship game. It will be South Florida basketball to start the second half of play. And this place is rocking. 8,000 fans, about 8,500 fans were here on Wednesday night for the semifinals. Athletic Director Lou Perkins said he thought maybe around 15 will get that number in the second half. They may set a new record for women's basketball for attendance today. Grace tries, gets it back, and looks like potentially a foul call. They might judge that a shooting opportunity.
And again, it's another situation where Kansas is defending from behind. Because of the quicks of Shantia Grace, Morris had to defend from behind, gets hit with her third personal foul.
That's trouble for Kansas, and there will be an immediate check-in of LaChelda Jacobs as Morris in the first 13 seconds of the second half picks up her third personal foul. Bounce and down for Shantia Grace. The free throw line is 75% free throw shooting.
Morris comes out. There goes your second leading scorer for Kansas. More pressure on McCray. Again, we've seen Sutherland step up in other games. She needs to come to the fold, as does Bogart, who had to step up in the game against New Mexico.
Shantia Grace much more true on the second one. She got them both. And Shantia, the steady performer, all Big East first teamer, gets the first 2 points of the second half. Double-digit lead now for the second time in this game for South Florida. USF near steal by Lawson. It gives McCray a seam. That's not a shot, or that's a shot that she doesn't miss often, and she missed it there on the baseline. Out of bounds goes the deflection, and the Bulls have it.
McCray had the good look from the outside. She gave it up because she wanted to penetrate and try for the 10-footer. Bonnie Hendrickson said, hey, let's keep at it, keep taking those shots, keep McCray alive on the offensive end.
7-player rotation in the semifinal game for South Florida, and they've looked similar today. The key 7 on the court. That basket no good. McCray, who, by the way, is the leading rebounder for Kansas as well, grabs that one. In on Jacobs.
You can see Jacobs really valuing every possession. More careful with the basketball. Good decision making.
Šadić in a void in the lane, missed that. Bogart fought for it, and Lawson took it away. Even Šadić hesitated just momentarily in the lane on that shot and missed a pretty easy look. Too strong on the long try for win. Denson with the offensive rebound. Grace rotates to Lawson for the basket.
A lot of efficiency on USF. One dribble, pass, shoot. One dribble, pass, shoot. They move so quickly. Kansas has to have the great footwork to get in front. They still can't keep toe-to-toe with this quick ball squad.
You can feel air come out of this building on that basket just now. The lead had gotten big before, but the crowd, you never sense that energy. And when that basket went down on the reverse, felt different. Atmospheric change. Foul. Jasmine Wynn, her first personal. Nicolette Smith will check in for Kansas, as will Sade Morris. And Morris with her 3 fouls. Coach Hendrickson, I can't wait any longer. You got to play with 3 at 18-17 to go in the second half. Morris, a 2-point shot, steps right back into the game.
And gets a basket on the board for Kansas. It had been a 10-0 run since 1:29 left in the first half. Big bucket.
Important as Morris had a concussion in the early going against Texas Tech. Was out 3 games. Kansas went on a little bit of a mini skid. She comes back in, adds the energy. You can see she's got the tools of long-range distance, and she can penetrate.
Shantia Grace gets help on the offensive glass. That was Jessica Lawson, but then Lawson fouled on the slap try. Lawson picks up the foul. Is surprised.
Lawson does not have the mobility on the low block. She's wearing that leg brace, and of course she had torn her ACL, MCL, broke her kneecap several years ago, had a couple surgeries on that knee, and you watch her, almost her limited mobility. If you're Kansas, you've got to exploit and go at her.
Lawson with 3 fouls. She was a Pac-10 all-freshman team member at Cal back in 04-05. Been quite a path for Lawson, but she's playing in a championship game today. McCray short on the 3. Still a 10-point lead, and the Bulls can stretch it. Grace runs. And a foul on the rebound by Brittany Denson. She pulled down the one-arm rip, but she had one other arm knocking down a Jayhawk.
That's her second foul, team third.
There's the knee base from Jessica Lawson. She had a bad knee at Cal, and then again, she tore her ACL, her MCL. She cracked her kneecap. She had 1 surgery. They eventually said that surgery wasn't good enough. She had a 2nd surgery, sat out a couple of years, and because of that, you just watch her gimp down the floor.
Bounce pass in the lane. Bogart can't get it. And the rebound taken down again by Portia Grant. Great board work by Grant for the Bulls. Sepulveda. Box out by Chodich. Up court to Morris. Athletic grab, and she'll shoot free throws. Spirited action at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas in the WNIT championship game. Glad you're with us on CBS College Sports.
Well, KU is now taking a page from USF's book, and they're trying to push it. Chodich up to Morris, who has the athleticism to run, and she's going to get her opportunities at the line. And again, we mentioned if this game comes down to the line, we've got Kansas, who shoots 71%. That was 5th in the Big 12, versus USF, who shoots 65%. That was 13th in the Big East. So more opportunities for the at the line for KU was always a part of Bonnie Hendrickson's game plan.
Jasmine Wynn just picked up her 2nd personal foul. She'll check out. Janae Stokes, the junior from Vidalia, Georgia, has checked in. Morris hits the free throws. 82% free throw shooter on the year is Morris, and she was true on those 2. Well, the crowds come back in. The air is re-entering the building, but the Bulls still up by 8, looking for the first ever postseason championship at the institution for South Florida. Men's or women's. Stokes steps in and hits the shot. Basket is good for Janae Stokes.
I'm not sure if there's anyone that can go toe-to-toe with Janae Stokes. That crossover dribble, kind of backward swagger, and then that first step leaves the defender with their weight distributed backwards. She knocks it down. She's automatic.
Bogart again missed inside. She's getting some close-in looks, not being able to draw fouls, and she has not gotten the shot to drop. And that foul will go on Bogart. 2nd personal foul for Bogart. Checking in to replace Kristen Bogart is Aisha Sutherland. Now at 16 minutes remaining in the championship game, and the Bulls, who led by 8 at halftime, have stretched that by 2 more as we work through the early going of the 2nd half. Stokes flips it up, no good. Morris, a good rebound for the Jayhawks. Now off to Chodich. McCray, 3. No good. Nicolette Smith on the offensive glass. Bounces to Morris, who hits the shot. Nice hustle play by Nicolette Smith to get the ball over to Sade Morris. Whistle and no basket. Foul on the floor committed by the Jayhawks. And we'll take a timeout, come back with more championship action from Lawrence, Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse. The Bulls 44, the Jayhawks 36. Jayhawks women's basketball trying to add another page to the lore of Kansas basketball. The statue out front of the basketball hall of Fog Allen. Beware of that fog inside with the Jayhawks fans getting after it. And they've got to keep working, helping their team fight their way back, down by 8 points in the WNIT championship game to the Big East representative, the South Florida Bulls, playing a great basketball game today in a hostile environment after being on the road for the last week, playing up in the Northeast. So from Florida to the Northeast to the Midwest, and still just clicking along. Denson spins inside on Smith, and that foul will be against Nicolette Smith. 4th team foul now for Kansas, and 4 team fouls also committed by South Florida here in the second half. Right now in the category of fouls, Sade Morris, who's leading the Jayhawks in scoring with 16 points, also has 4 fouls to Sade Morris. So reckless abandon at this point, I guess, is what you need, down by 8. She's got to try to keep herself on the court somehow. She has been one of the keys to scoring today. Second free throw good for Brittany Denson.
Kansas is most effective when they start to get in that rhythm. And what has happened in today's game is Danielle McCray, first team all Big 12, has not been able to find that rhythm. Sepulveda, who's guarding her now, she's been just covering her, not letting her get the looks. They're forced to go inside. And then the quick transition game by USF.
Nicolette Smith had it rejected by Brittany Denson. Tough D by Denson inside. Shot missed by Shantia Grace, and it's Aisha Sutherland with the rebound.
And Grace has been neutralized offensively for the most part, but where she's deadly is she dishes and she's finding the open player like Sepulveda, like Stokes.
Lachelda Jacobs looks over to Coach Henriksen. To decide on a play. McCray with 8 seconds on the shot clock. 3-point shot is good. Danielle McCray, no play, I'll just do this.
Well, a couple crossover dribbles. She's just lulling Sepulveda into a kind of a sleep, and then she pulls back, and she's got the confidence to knock it down.
Now 13 points for Danielle McCray, who has set a WNIT scoring record for points in a tournament, along with numerous other honors that she's picked up this year. Out of bounds on the loose ball. Stokes lost it, and Kansas has it back, trailing by 6.
And that was McCray on the defensive end against the pressure and the intimidation against Stokes, letting USF take really a little bit of their own medicine. And USF used to working in that frenetic pace up-tempo, but here, once the crowd comes back in at 12,000 plus, really communication starts to break down. Really tough to maintain that composure.
Chodich and Sutherland, Bogart, Morris, and McCray on the floor after a few substitutions. Whistle and a foul. Might have been McCray trying to clear out some space. It was. The foul is Danielle McCray. Her 3rd personal foul.
For the Jayhawks, 0-0.
Lachelda Jacobs back on the court, replacing Sade Morris, who has foul trouble. Inbounding for USF is Portia Grant. Takes the ball into the hands of Shantia Grace. And Janae Stokes currently on the floor, along with Sepulveda, who has the basketball, and Brittany Denson, the 5 on the floor right now for USF. Kansas gets it back on an errant shot by the Bulls. Jacobs and Chodich working the high side of the offense. Bogart comes high with McCray down low. Bogart screen. McCray didn't get open, and Sepulveda jumped in front of it. And a basket for Jasmine Sepulveda. Played at Kirkwood Community College in Iowa. Hails from Brooklyn, New York. She has had a fine championship game. Has Jasmine Sepulveda.
Everybody could see that play unfolding. You knew it was going to McCray. The staggered screen, Sepulveda 1 step in front of her. You just wait on the pass instead of another turnover.
McCray drives and will shoot free throws. And McCray, the team's leading free throw shooter, 84%. That's a good spot for her.
You know, one thing Bonnie Hendrickson said was McCray is used to playing in the Big 12 where she had 2 and 3 defenders on her. The question is somebody else going to get hot to help complement her so they don't anticipate the ball going to McCray and her shooting all the time? In New Mexico, we saw Bogart step up and they win against New Mexico. In Illinois State, we saw someone step up. Rather, that was Sutherland, and then it was Bogart. We haven't seen that complement except Mars. She's been in a little bit of foul trouble, so there hasn't been that continuum of offensive performance for Kansas. Meanwhile, you get the double-figure scoring from USF, and it's tough to defend 4 players who are averaging double-figure scoring.
Jasmine Sepulveda just picked up her second personal foul. Second free throw bounced off, and the Bulls have it into the half court. Nearing 12 minutes to go in the championship game of the women's NIT. Sepulveda to the glass again and scores again. 14 points for Jazmine Sepulveda, leading the way for the Bulls. Timeout called by Kansas. They need a break, and we will take one with them as South Florida now has the 9-point lead over Kansas. And Jazmine Sepulveda, the senior from Brooklyn, big play in a big game. The Bulls of USF 12 minutes 4 seconds away from a WNIT championship, leading by 9 at Kansas. Southwest Post Services, a proud partner of the WNIT. Nationwide team travel since 1991. SouthwestPost.com. Our thanks to Southwest Post Services and Vista Travel. Triple Crown Sports, all proud to present the women's NIT championship game right here on CBS College Sports. Fouls for Kansas. McCray with 3, Morris with 4. For South Florida, Lawson has 3 fouls, and she's the only player with 3 fouls. Nobody has as many for USF. Let's look at some shooting splits through the first 2 halves of play. Both teams not hitting well here in the second half. Sutherland hits on that. Aisha Sutherland makes her a 7-point game, and this crowd just keeps begging the Jayhawks to get on a run. Well, and it establishes someone else other than McCray offensively. They set a play specifically for Sutherland, who has been a good compliment. Go to her more. Basket is good, put in by Jessica Lawson. That's Lawson's range, from about 10 feet and in. Nobody was on her, so she had the quick give me uncontested. Screen by Bogart. Chodic off to McCray. Sepulveda's done a great job on McCray. There's the help defense. And Thad, I'm not sure why Kansas isn't doing that more. Maybe if they don't make the shot, still go strong to the hole and get those opportunities at the line. Timeout on the floor. Free throws coming up for Danielle McCray. The Bulls continue to lead in the WNIT championship game. The South Florida Bulls on the road in front of a giant home crowd for Kansas. Holding tough in the championship game. USF has withstood a few runs, but really they've led this game for the bulk of the game by a fairly comfortable margin. For great work on the offensive end, getting many guards in sync. They're getting that 10 to 12 points that Jose Fernandez wanted out of his forwards. Defensively, great help defense. They're contesting every shot. They're trying to neutralize Danielle McCray. Who is at the free throw line after being fouled by Jasmine Wynn. Picked up her 3rd personal foul, and that's something you don't see very often. Danielle McCray, mentioned that before, team's leading free throw shooter at 84%. Bounced one off that time. Our thanks again to our Metro Sports production crew. Also to everyone working the game today. Our stats help, Ty Schlunt, getting it done, throwing those numbers at us. I'm Thad Anderson. Tracy Warren is with me for the WNIT championship game in Lawrence, Kansas. Stokes missed it off the back iron. Rebound and a putback try by Lawson, and a Jayhawks foul. Positioning for USF. They allowed their speed to do it, but for Lawson, who's got really the gimpy legs, she just camped out on the low block and said, I'm just going to sit here and get a board and go up strong. She gets her opportunities at the line. Sophomore Kristen Bogart picked up the foul. That's her 3rd personal foul. Free throw up and good for Jessica Lawson. For Bogart, 3 fouls. Her brother Derek plays for the Minnesota Wild in the NHL. And Kristen has high school letters in bad badminton, water polo, and volleyball. Interesting, coming out of Canada, sport she was involved in. Free throw no good, and out of bounds. Rebound last touch by the Jayhawks. So another possession for South Florida with a 9-point advantage. Kansas cannot afford to lose opportunities.
This momentum has been USF this entire second half. They're getting the most of their possessions. They're getting many looks, opportunities at the line, and Kansas needs to shift that momentum and go on one of those patented runs like they did against Illinois State.
Lawson picked up the foul for her. That's her 4th personal foul. Lawson, back in high school, won 9 straight state oratory contests. She was trying to debate the officials. That doesn't work here, and she's now talking to Coach Jose Fernandez as she'll check out. A solid game for Jessica Lawson, but with 4 fouls, she's going to head over to the bench. And Bogart, now that the bonus has been reached, will shoot the single bonus. 7 fouls committed by South Florida, 6 by Kansas. Bogart earns the second one. Both teams now venture into the bonus. You've talked about the free throw shooting. Should it become an issue? You see Lawson on the bench with her 4. Great energy from Lawson and from Denson and from Grant. Big players for the Bulls have really played a solid championship game. Too good for Bogart, and Kansas has it back to 7 points.
It stops the clock. It lets Kansas get in the half-court defense. It forces and neutralizes some of the foot speed for USF.
Grant, another offensive rebound on the miss by Lynn, but can't get the putback. Down court, Jacobs finds McCray. And she's fouled. Here we go with more free throws. McCray took it somewhere up around the chops. And she's back up on her feet. Took a minute, and she's back with us.
What had happened is McCray, they had her down court. They had her with the pass, but the great foot speed from USF allowed them to get in front, foul her hard. And obviously, she's okay, but you're always going to have a contested shot when you're facing USF. They're just too quick.
Brittany Denson, 3rd personal foul. First free throw good for McCray, and a substitution for USF will be Shantia Grace, who replaces Janae Stokes. But now, finally starting to see some foul issues arise as Denson and Lawson, now that they're being challenged, are picking up the fouls. Each player, well, 3 for Denson and 4 for Lawson. That'll be big for Kansas. They keep going to the glass. McCray with both free throws, and now the Jayhawks creeping closer. 5-point game. Sepulveda, who's had a great game, is handling up top, penetrates. The freshman win. Good work in very limited real estate by Brittany Denson.
And that's something she's been able to do a little bit more for Brittany Denson this year, is go underneath, use her footwork a little bit more rather than just power. We're seeing some of that athleticism and finish.
Takeaway, Sepulveda is fouled in the backcourt. A couple times Sepulveda has gotten those breakaway steals. This time she's slowed down. 54-47 is the score. USF leading the Women's NIT Championship game at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Thad Anderson and Tracy Warren happy to be with you, and a bunch of thousand of our new friends here in Lawrence, Kansas. Great environment, great atmosphere, as the WNIT tends to do. The championship game, always a great show, and we'll report more on the attendance figures once we have some firmed up numbers. For Kansas, the foul, Ivana Chadic, her first personal foul, and Sepulveda shoots again after hitting the first.
I think Sepulveda has been the biggest difference maker on both ends of the floor for USF. You know, she used to run the point. Shantia Grace then moved back to 2, and then they put Grace back at 1 and Sepulveda at 2. On the defensive end, she's been guarding McCray. She's on her right now. On the offensive end, she's getting good looks and converting from the outside, penetrating on the inside.
Sepulveda, a 2-time JUCO first-team All-American at Kirkwood in Iowa. Traveling call as the defense of Jasmine Wynn on the pressure to the shot fake forced the foot shuffle, and Kansas gives it away.
You mentioned a good point, the JUCO transfer. More than 50% of USF are transfers or JUCO college players. So you have to work quickly on chemistry if you're Jose Fernandez. And it really is an art. And he's brought them together, this veteran squad, in this WNIT championship.
To the floor, Chadic goes along with a scrambling Brittany Denson and a timeout called by USF to retain possession. They will have the basketball, 10 seconds to shoot for the Bulls on this possession, 30 seconds by USF. Janae Stokes, a junior who played at Gulf Coast Community College. Last year, her team at Gulf Coast won the JUCO National Championship. These players have been in big games and All-American honors. You mentioned that. It's a different dynamic if you get a player for 2 years. You get a lot of good that comes with it, but that chemistry and that bonding is a big process. And Jose Fernandez, a fantastic coach. His real starting lineup for Jose and his wife, Tanya, they have 5 daughters. That's his actual starting lineup, the most important one, but he's done a great job with the Bulls program in Tampa.
And he's really got them to mesh on the road. And he said, you know, we've played in front of 9,000 at Connecticut. I don't know that we'll go into a house and see 12,000 plus fans like we would at Kansas. He said, but I'm not worried because of the veteran leadership from Sepulveda and Shantia Grace.
Grace has the basketball with 8 seconds to shoot. Floats and adjusts and scores. Shantia Grace proving why the Big East noticed her and put her on that first team.
Great body control. Did you see her just go into traffic, protect the ball, maintain focus, and knock it down?
Sutherland down low to Bogart, and she got it inside.
High-low all day. High-low with that height. Go big to big and work over USF when you've got the opportunity.
58-49 USF. Even when Kansas appears to be getting the gears moving, they've been able to hover around that 10-point margin. Out of bounds off the knee of Shantia Grace. Basketball to Kansas.
You think Shantia Grace is afraid to go in traffic? Not at all. Goes, wraps around, keeps the body hanging in the air. Again, the high-low for Kansas, 5'11", to the big 6'5" Bogart to the finish.
Chadic bounces to McCray. Bogart crashes and kicks it out. Good work by Kristen Bogart.
McCray's legs really have had to work both ends of the floor, and you just see her shots falling a little short in this second half. You wonder if fatigue is not a factor.
Now under 8 minutes to go, out of bounds. Kansas will keep it with 16 to shoot, but first the timeout on the floor. Jayhawks looking to carve into that 9-point disadvantage in the WNIT championship game on CBS College Sports. The Bulls of USF maintain that 9-point lead. It will be Kansas basketball. This building you're looking at has seen a largest crowd in women's basketball history of 13,352. Well, no longer and by a long shot. Today's WNIT championship game attendance, a new Kansas women's record by a big margin. There you see it, the number 2 overall all-time WNIT championship game attendance, 16,113 fans on hand today. Wow.
Credit the fans of Lawrence, Kansas, who didn't know until April 1st that they'd be hosting the WNIT Championship. The Women's WNIT Championship, unlike other tournaments, you don't know who's going to be hosting until you find out the winners of the semifinals. There's no predetermined site like at the men's at Madison Square Garden. You go to the whoever bids for it and who's in the championship. Kansas bid for it, they're hosting.
Last year, Marquette won on the road at Michigan State, another Big East WNIT winner. This year, South Florida making a great run in a tough building in the championship game. The Bulls have it. Kansas was not able to convert on their possession. Now the Bulls get a second look on this one coming out of that timeout.
And Jose Fernandez is telling his team something different. Milk the clock. Use the clock. And this is not what we saw from South Florida in the early part of the game.
Count the basket and a free throw for Shantia Grace.
She does more damage in traffic than any 5'6" guard that I've seen, and perhaps why she's first team All Big East. But she's not afraid of the contact, but what's more is she maintains her focus, she squares, she's got all the great mechanics to knock it down, and that's why she's the team's leading scorer.
2+1 is good for Grace. 4th personal foul for the junior Danielle McCray. 4 fouls for McCray, and now a 12-point advantage for USF. That's as big as it's been all day long with 7 minutes to go in the championship.
Kansas has to find some responsiveness now because USF They typically go on these runs in the late part of the second half because they've got the legs to do it.
Aisha Sutherland knocks down the jumper. She shoots 50% from the floor, and you can see why. Stepped it back and scored the basket. If she can do that, you mentioned, Tracy, if she can do that and then open up that low, they'll be able to go to work, but they got to get going soon as USF has the double-digit lead. 6.5 left until we hand out hardware.
A little bit of zone for Kansas right now. Testing the shooting ability, long range for USF.
Sepulveda missed it, and Bogart was trying to box out, but went underneath a jumping player, and Bogart has 4 personal fouls as Portia Grant was already up going for the rebound when Bogart went to box underneath her. And now on a substitution for South Florida, Janae Stokes replaces Jasmine Wynn. For Kansas, checking in is Portia Weddington for Kristen Bogart, who just picked up that 4th foul. And at the line, Portia Grant, a 52% free throw shooter on the season. Grant has not been there yet today. She changed the hair presentation during the course of this game. Decided to let it out.
Well, they say she makes a statement with her hair, and part of that is basically just her personality.
Nickname is Cheryl, given to her because many of her co-players over the years think she resembles USC great Cheryl Miller. Sutherland picks up the missed free throw shot, and the 11-point advantage for the Bulls.
Well, we're going to see what kind of presence Weddington can be in the paint with Bogart on the bench.
Sutherland grabbed it. Grant blocked it, but also got a piece of Sutherland. So Portia Grant working from the backside on Aisha Sutherland, picks up a foul.
With Bogart on the bench, Kansas has abandoned the high-low and just going to the penetration from the big guards and the quick forwards. And it's going to give Sutherland, the freshman, opportunities at the line. She's been solid of late.
Got that. Aisha Sutherland in the postseason averaging about 11 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, a couple of blocks per game through postseason play, and 60% field goal shooting, and hit those like money.
Yeah, she started slow, really didn't play a lot of the games before Christmas, came back from the Christmas break like a new person, committed to Bonnie Hendrickson's plan, and has hit her stride in March and early April.
She's a freshman. I can tell you that practice yesterday was not that kind to her. They were working on her still, working the freshman, seasoning her up, but she's responded in today's game. Sepulveda lost it almost out of bounds. Great save into the cheerleaders. Back to Grace. Grant. Stokes beats the shot clock and hits the 3.
You've got to be committed to Kansas for all 30 seconds of that shot clock. There were a couple breakdowns defensively. USF was committed the entire 30 seconds, and they finished. And that will take the air out of you if you're Kansas.
Urgency on the face of Danielle McCray as she's going to get free throws on the drive try.
And you just see the opportunities. Sepulveda saves it again, giving up the body, the save, the kick out. And on the outside, Stokes just smokes it.
And there you see Melissa D'Alembert going down, giving high fives, catching Coach Fernandez on the back of the head. Melissa D'Alembert, her brother Samuel is with the 76ers. You might know him from NBA action. And she's working the Spirit squad on the side.
Number 14, Kristen Bogart.
Bogart checks back in, replacing Portia Weddington. And Bogart with 4 fouls. McCray with 4 fouls. Sade Morris with 4 fouls, all 3 of those in the game right now with 5:22 to go.
You see how precarious it is for Kansas. They've got to play very careful on the defensive end. And if you're USF, you go out of one of those 4 foul players in McCray or Bogart.
McCray now with 19 points in the game, averaging 30 per game in the WNIT. Kansas forces the loose ball. McCray takes it away. 10-point contest. McCray fakes the pass and scores. 5 minutes to go in the championship game. Multiple times in the second half, they've gotten it back to 8 points, but they have not been able to get closer. The defense has got to prevail, and they won't. As Shantia Grace hits the shot. The Bulls, you mentioned it earlier, Tracy, just steady and staying with the game.
Chadic is getting beat both by Grace and she's gotten beat by Sepulveda. She needs some help on the defensive end.
Back into the hands of McCray with the basketball. To Chadic, quicker trigger. This time and she'll hit that. Good decisiveness by Chadic on the shot.
She knew her mission it was to score because McCray literally had 3 green jerseys on her. And now USF is going to try and milk some of that clock.
For Chadic, her first basket of the game. Gets it back to an 8-point game. Nearing 4 minutes to go. Crowd rising. Over 16,000 Jayhawk fans. The Bulls of South Florida. Another nice drive by Grace, but no basket. Morris runs. McCray rebounds. Bogart rebounds. Sutherland rebounds. Scores and a free throw. A timeout on the floor. And one coming up for the Jayhawks in the WNIT championship game. A Big 12 women's basketball record attendance number of 16,000 plus is in the house, trying to rock it back into Kansas's favor. Kansas working hard on that last opportunity.
This will get all 16,000 plus on their feet. 3 opportunities. Here comes the 4th opportunity. And that's the fadeaway, an opportunity for a 3-point play. Why do fans love Kansas basketball? Because there is no quit. McCray playing with 4 fouls. Bogart playing with 4 fouls. This team has been trailing almost this entire game, but they are committed. They said when they were picked for the WNIT championship, they were committed to winning it.
Offensive rebound numbers, both teams cashing in on the loose balls on the offensive end. 20 for Kansas, 17 for USF. 4 personal fouls now for Brittany Denson, who picked that one up. You see McCray there, she has 4. There's the free throw shooter, Aisha Sutherland, who now has 10 points in the game to Sutherland. And she's 2 of 2 from the free throw line in the contest. This could make it a 5-point game, and it does. 3:48 to go. 5-point lead for the Bulls of South Florida.
So key to deny the entry pass, and don't let these speedy guards get a foot past you so you cannot front them.
McCray stepped into the passing lane and forced a travel for the Bulls. The turnover gives it back, and they've got to dig in on defense. Substitution, Jasmine Wynn checks out, replacing Janae Stokes. Wynn has displayed some defensive abilities today, and she'll get back in.
We said the crowd could be a factor. I think now we're starting to see that USF never played before 16,000 plus. They're loud, they're energetic, and we're seeing they're factoring into this momentum shift, which is now swinging towards Kansas.
As you mentioned, the Bulls seasoned against big crowds playing in the Big East. A lot of great draws out there, and none better than UConn if they played against. There's a basket scored by Sade Morris, and here come the Jayhawks. Interesting, Tracy, that Jose Fernandez is not opting to use 30-second timeouts during this run. He trusts his team to keep playing. 6 seconds to shoot. Lean in. No good. Sutherland on the glass.
You had McCray on the flash.
She's got it now, under 2.5 to go for Danielle McCray. 21 points in this game. Down to Bogart. Scores. 1-point basketball game.
Little give and go with Bogart. Distraction, McCray. They flock to McCray. Bogart gets the seam, and she gets the basket.
There's the timeout for South Florida as Jose Fernandez calls the 30.
Double team drawn by McCray, the go by Bogart, and the knock it down.
Bogart coming on in the second half for Kristen Bogart, now 8 points in the game. A 9-0 run for Kansas over the last 2 minutes. 9-0 the run to get this thing back to a 1-point game. South Florida 67, Kansas 66.
And the difference has been Kansas has committed to both ends of the floor. Defensively, they're getting up in front of the guards. They're making it tough for the entry pass. They're double teaming. And they're contesting shots with the penetration. On the offensive end, someone other than McCray has gotten involved. Chotic hit the 15-footer. Bogart with the give and go. McCray now will have some opportunities to work with 2:12 left in this game.
Clearing out some cheerleaders. They almost went to play, and the officials gave it a stop and got the spirit off the floor. Bulls inside. Lawson works on Bogart and hits the basket. Nice play off the inbound setup, and Lawson scores.
And that was a great call by Jose Fernandez. Everybody thought the guards were going to start the offense for USF. The entry pass to the forward. It was a quick two-point hitter.
Each team has a couple of timeouts left. Under 2 minutes to go. McCray to Sutherland. Missed it. A mess of players up for the rebound, and a rebounding foul committed by Kansas. Boy, everybody going for that ball. 4 players packed together, all rose to get the rebound.
And it's tough when you're a player to see that. When you're McCray and you've got 4 green jerseys on you, she gives it up at the last minute. But McCray, hands were tied at that point in time.
Kristen Bogart, the sophomore from Saskatchewan, with the foul. That'll be her 5th personal foul for Kristen Bogart. 10 points in the game, 8 rebounds for Bogart in this contest, and she's gotten a couple of big plays here in the stretch run. With Kansas reeling in the Bulls, she will check out of the game and will give way to Nicolette Smith, a sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma. There goes Bogart.
And Smith is more of a floor player who likes to hit from the outside. She's not your true post like Bogart, so the presence of Bogart could make a huge impact. The absence of her, we'll see if USF goes to town inside.
Jessica Lawson no good on the first free throw. One more. Lawson and Denson with 4 fouls each for USF. Second free throw is good for Kansas. Morris and McCray with 4 fouls apiece. 1:45 to go in the championship game of the women's NIT. Chotic to Morris.
That's where Smith likes it from the outside. McCray's got a double team, if not a triple stagger team on her.
Drives on 3 players. Sutherland almost had the putback, and she's fouled on her way to the glass.
You see how USF is staggering their defense, almost anticipating the penetration of McCray. So if McCray gets past the first defender, the second comes in. If she gets past the second, the third comes in. The trailer was Sutherland with the great athleticism and follow.
Sutherland continues to impress. Now 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 11 points in the game. Make it 12 points with that free throw now in the game.
Everybody talks about USF's lack of defense. I've seen some great defense by the Bulls today. Great committed teamwork defense.
1 of 2 at the free throw line for Sutherland. It's a 3-point game. Sepulveda across midcourt. 15 seconds on the shot clock for the Bulls.
And they're going to take a lot of time here. Grace is just going to dribble around Chotic.
Lawson drives. And a blocking foul and free throws. Each team in a double bonus. Foul is Nicolette Smith.
Who's caught guarding from behind, because watch the first quick step. Already she's behind, and now past Smith, who is forced to use her body and picks up the foul.
Lawson, a 62% free throw shooter. Missed there, hit 1 of 2 a moment ago. Second personal foul for Nicolette Smith. 1 more free throw. Jessica Lawson. Missed them both, and Sutherland kept it alive to McCray. Boy, Sutherland's been big.
That was key. 2 missed free throws.
Under 1 minute to go now. 3-point game. McCray thought about the 3. Nice pass to Smith. Bounces to Sutherland. And she kicked it out of bounds past Sade Morris.
With under a minute to go, you don't want to play who's going to take the shot. You go aggressively at the basket. 2 unselfish play by Kansas.
30-second timeout called by the Jayhawks. And they are looking at the wrong end of the 3-point game, and they've got to play defense with 51.4 seconds to go. For South Florida, they'll set up the offense. And you talked about it. They are much more comfortable in the running, quick, fast-paced game, but they're going to take the air out of it a little bit here. Who do you want to handle the ball at this point if you're Jose Fernandez?
Well, you look at the game reset. It's 2 and 10 and 1 and 10 right now for timeouts and fouls, both in the double bonus. Kansas with the possession, but I'll tell you, I like the way Sepulveda and Grace have been playing. Those two, especially Sepulveda, has been really the calm in a very, very loud environment, and they're going to have to guard her, but Grace has been the person who has had the ball down the stretch for USF.
Janae Stokes, the team's leading free throw shooter, 81%. She's not in the game right now. Chadic playing backcourt defense against Grace. Shantia into the front court.
And she's just going to milk it. Got 1 and 4. 1 out, 4 in. High screen.
Got a seam. Sepulveda hit it. Another big basket by Jasmine Sepulveda. Maybe the biggest of the game. 5-point lead.
Great plan for Jose Fernandez.
Morris drives, and a whistle. Free throws should be coming with 19 seconds to go.
What I liked, and you'll watch Grace and Sepulveda just go high-five each other. Both were calm. They knew what the play was. Grace was supposed to kick off some time off the clock and then dish at the last second. Here she's got the double team. She dishes out to Sepulveda, just hanging on the perimeter, who has been golden all game long.
That was a very cool shot by Sepulveda. No pressure in the championship game. Morris missed the first free throw. Jasmine Wynn picked up her 4th foul. And for USF, a timeout is called, so we'll take a break in the middle of the free throw tries. A full timeout taken by South Florida.
It was a difference in possession. You saw Kansas have a couple good looks, overpassing, they turn over the basketball. With USF, they had a definite plan. It was for Grace to draw the double team and kick it out to Sepulveda. USF has been hot. They have made the shots when they've had to, and that's been a big part of their success today.
Our thanks to Sports Information Directors Mike Hogan for South Florida and Katie Lonergan for Kansas for their help with information for this championship game. There are only 6 women's basketball teams still playing basketball in NCAA Division I. 2 of them right here. We're about to give out championship hardware in South Florida. A resilient battle all day long, and they're still up by 5 with 19.1 to go. Tracy, it's been another great championship game in the Big East again, coming through big.
And Jose Fernandez says to you, hey, we've got 2 teams in that Final Four. We want to make it a sweep. We want to see a Big East team win the NCAA tournament. We want to see a Big East team win the WNIT to really send the message to the selection committee. Maybe think about going 8 or 9 deep, because in his mind, and a lot of Big East coaches, they are the predominant conference in women's basketball. I think the Big 12 or the SEC, ACC has something else to say about that. But this is Kansas's time to prove them wrong. And the Big 12, of course, represented in that Final Four, represented here in the championship game. They have the same opportunity. Right now, this free throw from Morris would make it a 4-point game with 19 seconds to go. She got it. And checking in for Kansas, Lachelda Jacobs is on the floor for Morris. Also in is Kelly Cohn for Kansas. And some foul trouble for Kansas, so I believe they've checked in some pressure D and some foul givers. Some fouls to give. Just got a foul right away here. There you go. Nicolette Smith with the grab on Lawson. And based on recent trending, that's somebody that the Jayhawks don't mind seeing go to the free throw line, as Lawson has had a couple of 1-for-2s down at the line here of late. Just a 62% free throw shooter, and it's the big person with all the guards and the great speedy guards. It was Lawson who got the basketball, and perhaps not the most successful free throw shooter. So good design by Bonnie Hendrickson. We'll see if it pays off. Got the roll on the first one, did Lawson. And she subs out the offense for the defense. Jacobs and Cohn come out, and the offensive McRae comes back in, along with Sade Morris. Jessica Lawson, another free throw here. That one's no good. 13 points in the game for Lawson. McRae has it, 16 seconds to go. Kansas down by 5. Need a quick basket. McRae's stuck. A lot of time running off the clock. There's a 3 look from McRae, no good, and it looks like South Florida's going to get to the final piece of the bracket, the final stage of the WNIT, as the Bulls on the brink of claiming the school's first national championship in a postseason basketball event. 4 seconds left. A credit to Jose Fernandez. He had a very good game plan. Stick with the up-tempo, help defense, frenetic pace, keep it going, and keep the pressure on Kansas in their own house, and make them make the shots.
Shantia Grace hits that free throw. She'll shoot one more. Grace in double figures today. 15 points for the team's leading scorer. That's right on, just decimal points above her season average. Got them both.
For Kansas, they just couldn't make the shots, but a great turnaround in 1 year for Bonnie Hendrickson. They're going to be back next year.
McCray shoots a three and fittingly hits that at the buzzer. That'll make it a 4-point margin. The champions of the 2009 WNIT, the Bulls from the University of South Florida.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to ask everyone to stay seated.
Jose Fernandez wanted this game in the mid-70s or 80s. He said a lot of points is going to help us because Kansas is just going to get worn down. He had the great arsenal, the 4-point arsenal in the guard play. They were hitting their shots. They played great help defense. And to beat Kansas in their own house in front of 16,000-plus fans, a remarkable statement by USF.
Congratulations to the Bulls of the Big East. 2009 WNIT champions, 75-71 is the final score. Our thanks to Metro Sports, our technical producers. Thanks to Kai Schlund, our stats man. For Tracy Warren, I'm Thad Anderson. The champions, the Bulls of USF.